Hi, everybody. I am live. Join me when you can. For anybody watching a replay later, you can feel free to skip through the howdy do's that the friends in the box or the people in the box, pibs or fibs, chit chat together for a few minutes and ask questions, and then we go on to a demo. So I've got oil paint on my glasses. Sorry. Forgive me. Anyway, feel free to join the chat and make comments, ask questions, and you can always private message me a question about art, and I will do my best to answer it. We've got some folks coming in. Hey, Becky and Gail. Chat settings. Guests can see. Yes, guests can see chat now. Alrighty. Can y'all see that on? Well, you're probably looking on YouTube. Let me mute my phone. Actually, through my watch, I mute. Okay. Now, we are just about ready. Does anybody have any questions while we wait? And then I will show you what we're looking at. Hey, Meta. Well, give Valley Cat a big old hug for me. I hate looking at myself in video. I'm going to switch it here in a minute. Well, I would ask what y'all been up to this weekend, but I pretty much know what y'all been up to this weekend because we've all been doing the same thing. We have been arting together. I was off stream yesterday, and I went 6 days straight. I'm rather proud of myself. Live streaming may not be convenient for the quality of my art, but it sure is convenient for getting me in the studio. So I am going to switch out to the shared screen. There we go. Whoop, one too far. Aha. And hang on just a minute, I'll get rid of that. I thought I had it all gone, but there's so many little steps. Okay. I'm going to give it a few more minutes. So I want to go to YouTube. I want to see what y'all are seeing and how long it takes for a lag. Not that it really matters because it is what it is and no one can control that. Alrighty. Gelli! How does Alley Cat matter? Lag. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 seconds. That's great. That is great. I had some big time fun on Sunday, and I live streamed right in the middle of a bunch of streamers going on because I was doing this and I wanted everybody to see she's 7. Oh, I love 7.5. Got to get that half in there. Well, I am glad you're watching, Alley Cat. Get yourself some crayons and some paper and have at it. Alrighty, I think I'm 3:58. I'm about ready to start. Here we go. I was jelly printing Sunday using oil paint, and it was phenomenal. Everything about it I loved. And that is a technique I picked up from, of course, Robin McClendon. She's my favorite person to haunt right now. Jiggling a little bit, sorry. And anyway, yes, it is possible. And I will stress again, over and over and over and over, that there is nothing in oil paint that is toxic other than if you're using cadmiums or cobalt color. My studio smells like a cooking oil factory, but that's because of the linseed oil that's in the paint. It's not because of anything toxic. If you could cook, you can smell this. It will dissipate. Because the only active ingredient in oil paint is linseed oil, and we clean our, well, those of you who clean, clean our jelly plates with baby oil, there is no incompatibility. The only incompatibility is with any acrylic paint left on your plate. So get the acrylic paint off, either use packing tape or Scotch tape or something to get all the little things off. Then clean it with your oil. I didn't have any baby oil, so I used linseed oil. Might as well use a $20 bottle of oil. But anyway, it is what it is. And any little texture from old acrylic paint on the plate is fine, but it will show up in your prints as texture, and that's not really any big deal. Let's see what else. And when you get finished, let's see if I can counteract that. I got an iPhone glare. Maybe. When you get finished, you just wipe everything off with a paper towel, pour a little bit of oil on your plate, wipe it real good, and it's conditioned and ready to go the next time you want to do acrylic jelly plates. Now, you're going to ask yourself, why do this? And that's not really the one I wanted, but I'll just show you this. There are 2 ways to get really, really good prints. And this is more printing a la university printing when you have a press, okay, or etchings or something like that. And the jelly plate is just an offshoot of one of those hoity-toity art school techniques. This is when my plate was ready to print. And I took a picture of the plate before I printed it. And the amount of texture that shows, and the impasto where I had thick black paint marks, is really cool. You don't get that look with acrylic. Not that one is better than the other. We're not doing qualification things here. We're doing, comparisons, just in the fact that they're different. Just like you can do watercolor and get a different look than if you did acrylic or magicals. Here's another one of the plate. So I took a picture of these with my phone, making sure that I was parallel to all of the edges in my viewfinder. I was right over the middle of it, snapped a picture, and immediately sent it to print. I did not color correct. I did not have to trim or anything. As you can see, look at the little peak, like icing that you're getting right there. So it was a win-win day for me. There's another one. Because once you lay a piece of paper on this, all of this disappears because it's on the underside. It's next to the paper, and all the other layers are on top. And this was made with a little tool that's in the, if you've seen those sets of palette knives that are all different shapes and have squiggle edges and stuff like that. It's metal, but if you're careful with metal, you can use it as long as you don't dig into your plate. And then your plate's not ruined. It's just going to forever and always have that particular little dent. Okay, wait, here's one more. I think I've got two of this one. Yeah. I think this one is especially pretty. When you use a stencil this way, let's see if this one does. Oh, I've got another one somewhere. When you use a stencil, and then on top of oil paint, you're not going to see it there either. Well, I'll come to it. I think it's down in here. All right, show and tell. I have a portable drying rack that it's on a pole, and one of our tenants left it one time, and we were home, and Randy said, we don't hang things up to dry. And I said, oh yeah, we do. So I used it for this, and it worked out great. I put one of those pants hangers, you know, when you hang it up, they're all flush. You turn it on its side, hanger parts are about 5 inches apart. So I did it horizontal, and I was able to hang. The only ones that didn't dry well were the ones in the middle because they didn't get as much air circulation. This is a particular favorite. See the gold? I don't like that color gold, but that's the only gold oil paint I had. And this is on a tea stain paper. But the textures from the paper, because I crinkled it before I tea dyed it. And then those crinkles added to the texture. Here's another one. Let me check the chat, see what y'all are saying. Hey, Joy. Okay, I'm catching up on chat. Somebody asked me last week how I do with abstract, and I just said shitty. I mean, this is as close to abstract as I'll ever get. See how, focus. Get it up here. See the dots from the punchinella? They are sticking up above the paper. I can get the light just right. There, maybe. Come on, there. They're sticking up a little bit. I think that's just cool. And I don't like yellow so much. I don't like hot colors. So I ended up covering most of that one up. The white paint and a couple of the other ones that have a lot of white in them were the slowest to dry. Here is another one on the tea stain paper. Is that just awesome or what? Here's one on, which side is right? This is on Japanese calligraphy paper. And this one's kind of okay. I've got some browns and pinks in it with the golds. Yeah, they are kind of tribal. And this one's got some real cool impasto in it where the See it right there where the tool I was using. No, you know what? That's not the tool. I raked down through the stripes of paint to get the zigzaggy effect, but this is the dendritic mark left from when the paper pulls away from the thick paint. Don't you dare give me that circle. Looks like it went away. Anyway, that's the dendritic, and that's the ancient Grecian. It means when you're doing, lay a piece of paper on a piece of glass, pull it up, the actual suction will make a print in the texture. That's all I know about that. This one's kind of simple, but simple is good. I ordered the Arteza brand of oil paint. Should be here tomorrow, the next day, because they have the exact opposite of what I teach. Okay, that's what this is so funny. I was using regular oil paint, and that you need to mix. And the Arteza is planned. Their color line is planned like their acrylic line. They'll have 4 shades of blue, 4 shades of red, and yellow, and so on, which comes in handy when you're doing something like this, so that you don't have to stop and think about what color you want to mix. So this is why a lot of these look so primary colory. Got some more neat mark making in that one. That was on parchment paper. This is on calligraphy paper again. Some of these would be really cool laid down on my encaustic griddle and just get a light coat of beeswax on either side. The paper would absolutely look like it was gone. So I may do that with some of these. Here's another good one. And these are all mostly dry. Here's the one from that print, or that photo. This is what it looked like before I printed it. Before I printed it, and after, the after print. Looks totally, totally different. I think this one is pretty. You do get some layering, but because oil is so much thicker than acrylic, you don't get the abundance of it like you sometimes do. This is an overprint. Here's another one on the tea stain paper, coffee stain. And this little tool actually lets the paper show through, which is cool. Everything's cool. I like cool. This one's still just a little bit sticky. These are great for collage or for pages in a book structure. Use tools that are disposable, like a cheap foam brush, or a chip a chip brush that you can just throw away, and therefore you don't need to have any cleanup other than the linseed oil. Hey, Lynn. I have a Canon tank printer, and I can't tell you the number of it, but it's so much less expensive to fill a tank with liquid than it is to buy cartridges. And the other that I would advise is an HP that you can put on their subscription program, and they will keep you an ink free for $5 for 100 prints a month, or maybe $10 for 250. I don't know what the break is, but I'd be hard pressed to use 100 prints a week. And then they send you cartridges, and you end up with a 2-month supply of new cartridges, so you're never out of ink, and you don't have any of those $60, $70 bills to buy ink. So either one, both do really good prints. A little sticky there. Yeah, it's messy. I had paint all over me and all over my desk. I like those colors. So I don't want to hear any whining about it's messy, because it is. I think that's the back side. It's on a piece of deli paper. And then I have a few more up here that were a little bit too wet to stack. I think this one's pretty. I would not do this with expensive oil paint. Some oil paints can go up $30, $40 a tube. So that's where the Arteza comes in handy. And I think I paid, they had a sale, a 20% sale, and I think I paid 24 tubes. They're small. Maybe $20. So I figured my budget could handle that. Here's a cool one. And you've got to have some kind of a hanging system beforehand. This one's cool. It's thick too. That's one reason why it takes a little longer to dry. And then this one's pretty. I just got 2 more, 3 more. Kind of neutral. Another blue and beige. And another pink and brown. Magenta and brown. So it's going to be fun to figure out ways to use these, I think. One of the days last week, I did a neat portrait of my, come on now, of my nephew when he was about 7. And he was in water. I don't want that. Okay. Never mind. I'm talking to myself. See, give me a day off. That's where I want it. Okay. That's kind of sort of close. So, I got my camera working for the palette. And I moved it, obviously. It's about time to put the paint away and start over this week. And I really, why does that keep moving? Oh, because I picked it up and didn't put it back. There we go. Anyway, the replay is on Sunday on the oil jellies. Get my brushes out. I wanted to do something different today, but I got involved in trying to figure out my why my iPhone camera wasn't showing the palette. And the people over at StreamYard want to see the example of this, so I want to make it look really good. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger until I figure out where I'm going with it, okay? So, yeah, aren't they pretty? I love them. You been here before? Okay, welcome back. Get some brushes wet. Find a piece of watercolor paper. Okay, fall on the floor. That's okay. Let me pick you up. Give it something to focus on. Yeah, that's better. Tilt it that way. Okay. Now focus. What I wanted to do was one of the, when you go to Walmart, Sam's Club, and they've got the big, huge cardboard boxes in the fruit section, and they hold cellophane bags of apples and pears and whatever else comes in plastic. Not plastic, it has to be cellophane. And I love the way they're crinkled and how the light reflects off all those little pieces and angles. And I wanted to paint one of those blind, like just painting the shapes and maybe drawing out the word on the label on the sack. But I may just have to get in the car and go to Sam's to find them. I'll take another picture. So I'm going to do the next best challenge, which is flowers. And this is a photograph from Pexels, which is copyright free. And I don't necessarily want my picture up there, so let's see. I don't think I can get it off. Yes, I can get it off. Hang on. There. Aha. Every time I look up and catch a glimpse of me, I have rigors. Pencil. Now that's pretty much a square. I'm going to measure the width of the flower bouquet. So it'd be 1, that'd be 2, that'd be 3 to here. And height-wise, it would be 1, 2, 3, which is a little too much. So I'm back up with a 2. 1, 2. Somewhere right in there. And then height, 1, 2. I find I do a whole lot better at this particular juncture. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space, margin, an inch or so. I'm not going to tape it off because I currently am not liking taped off edges. If that ever changes, I'll change. I'm also a member of Let the Pencil Mark Show Club because it's so easy now to take a picture and somebody print your painting. I want my peeps to be able to know that I really want that to come over here more. I want my peeps to know that there was a real artist in there at some point. No biggie. I don't worry about that sort of stuff at all, because by the time China copies one of my paintings, I'm on to something else. It's just a whole lot easier being creative than it is to worry about somebody stealing. Let me figure that again. 1, 2. So that's about right. That's the top of my flower. Now, I've got my boundary, okay? The edges of my design. And now I'm going to figure out from here. No, I'm going to measure from the right-hand side to the edge of the far flower. So there's 1, 2. And the bouquet is somewhere, it ends somewhere about a 1/2 inch. And then from the bottom to the top of the bouquet is 1, 2. About right here where I had it. So this is the envelope. Yeah, because my thing goes down to the bottom. This is the envelope of my bouquet. And the reason I picked this flower, or this particular picture, is because the tulip in the center has been perfectly designed composition-wise to be in a pleasing compositional position. How's that for? But the other reason I chose it is because he was able to do a bokeh, and that's B-O-K-E-H. I may not be pronouncing it right, but that's pretty darn close. All the other flowers are fuzzy, and this one is very strong, hard-edged. That is a mistake that a lot of beginning watercolorists make, or any kind of an artist painter, is that they make every edge in their painting the same strength of focus. Because when they're looking at a tree, they're focused on that tree. What they don't realize is, okay, then they turn their head, focus on a bush. Well, they're seeing that bush in perfect focus. What they're not realizing is when they're focused on that bush, everything else around it is blurred, because your eyes can only focus on one point at a time. And when you look at a painting where everything is in the very same sharpness or focus, it gets a little boring because there's no variation in the way it looks. Okay? Any questions? Okay. Trying to keep up with chat. Hey, Wendy. Glad you're here. Beck is spinning. Yeah, that's something you can fairly well do with, don't move that. Don't move the palette. Let's spray it down real good. That's something you can pretty well spot. So, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my number 10 Jean Haynes. This is, you got to get your brain into painting zone. That's not working right there. Let's see if I can get this little ring light charged. I've got the new MacBook Pro. Come on now, you know you want to go in that hole. And it has to have a USB adapter on the side in the plugins to fit all this. That helped a little. Okay, this is what I call getting myself in the mood. I'm going to paint around. Let me move this. Be patient. This is all new stuff. We'll move this over here. I don't like the shadow I've got, but it's because of where my lights are. They will get moved. at some point. Okay, I'm going to now moved it too far. Let's put it up here. Bear with me now. Not everybody wants to see the palette and not everybody wants to see the source, but I need to see both of them, so they're there. All right. A wet brush, and I'm going to roughly paint with the brush the outlines of the flowers. And this is how I get my brain to switch from what I was doing to painting. And then we come down here. Let me get this where I can see it. And you may need to go over your line a couple of times too. And if you do something you don't like, just wait for the paper to dry. Okay. I want to keep it wet. Now this is a way that you can get by without masking, because the paint will only go to this inner edge where it's dry. And since I've got that wet, I'm just going to go ahead and pre-wet. Sound like Alex Trebek. I'm going to dry. Nope, I didn't need to dry that because I'm within my line there. I don't care if I get some over into my area that I wanted. Now, I got to hurry. I need a brownish color. I'm using last week's palette. I need a neutral. I don't really care what goes into it. And I'm going to do that. And I'm leaning way back in my chair so I can see where my watermarks are. And I need that to be way darker. A little bit of Piemonte. This is just a nondescript color that's down in the corner. Now the problem with getting your paper all wet first is that you may not get the granulation you like because the water is already there and it sometimes forces the paint to disperse too quick. Okay, quit playing there. All right, now we've got, this has a little more blue up here. I'm just going to mix a little bit of blue with that to bluish it up. We've got a, okay, ends about right there. We've got a windowsill. About like that. And I want to encourage it to very softly come down. Almost missed that little table, which is coming in about right there. Let me get some tissues. I'll be back on chat here in just a minute. If you get to it quick enough with clean water, you can catch it before it soaks into the paper. That's why the sizing on watercolor paper is so important. It lets the color sit on top so that you can make all kinds of little tests with, and I don't really want that up there either. Get back down there. I'm also working right now in my journey on untaping my paper. Little thicker paint here. I just want something really dark up here to set off that flower. I don't have to go all the way to where the edge of the flower is, because those lighter colors will help me ease that into the flower bouquet. Now I'm going to go around here and lightly, with an almost dry brush, fuzz these edges, because that's one of the things that attracted me to this photo, was the fuzzy edges. As long as your brush is drier than the paint on your paper, that will happen for you. I'll leave that hard edge kind of like that. Alrighty, we have set the stage, and we need a little bluish color. So there's a little bluish and then up at the very top there's something just barely got any color. Now, because I'm currently not taping my paper, I still don't want that up there. I just don't want you to be in hole there. Go down, brown clown. I don't want it to gather in any pools. And this is another reason why I like not taping my paper down. Now, see this spot right here? There. See how this one's still shiny and this one's not? You do not want to put any paint in an area that's not wet. It's wet enough to make a blossom because at that point the paint on your brush is wetter than the paper. So you can still put paint in here if you wanted to, but I'm stopping. I just want everything to be soft and ready for work. Okay, check, check, check. Yep, starting supper. We eat late, so, and Randy does all my cooking, so. I don't know. Hey, Jules. Joycey. I don't know when I started doing that. I know I did it when I was in doing some of my chair painting after my surgery. And that was when I had some Prima pads that, watercolor pads that I knew the paper was. So I just leaned back in my recliner and look at a picture and paint. And now I've decided I kind of like it. I get bored with a scene if I've drawn it, ached over it, measured it. Okay, I'm tired of this one. Let's go on to something else. And this keeps me really interested in it to see if I can do the whole thing without messing up. I don't want you, hard edge. No, cover. That's so light it will, my color will. Except I've got some white in there. Ah! Well, that's where gouache comes in if you need it. Got busy talking. This does require some concentration. I'm getting a real lake right there. I mean, it's too late now. It's already soaked into the paper. That's why you have to paint fast when you're dealing with really wet surface. Okay, we're going to leave it. I'm still going to let it dry naturally to let those Daniel Smith pigments continue to move. So anybody got any questions? I did that little painting of the boy in the water the other day pretty much without a detailed sketch. That's where some of my oil painting techniques come in play because I paint with shapes of value, the darkness and lightness, rather than more of a fill in the area way of painting. Both are, there's nothing wrong with either one, and I've done them both. I call it irreverently painting by number I've seen ladies in class come in with a full sheet, 22 by 30 piece of watercolor paper that was drawn in every detail down to a minute little edge of a shadow. Now look at that and just go, oh my God, I'd go crazy. Well, I'm already crazy, but if you're putting watercolor paper on paperback, you are miles ahead of where I was when I started. I read about it, studied about it, but never put that brush to water. I'm going to dry the rest of this. Okie dokie. Now let's see if I stayed true to my measure, to my preliminary 1, 2. Damn near. 1, 2. Hey, pretty good, pretty good. Now then, I will bring it back. Let's see, I've got a paper towel here. Gosh, I hate to get rid of that. Look at all this color in here. You really hate to get rid of it. Got a corner. I'm gonna move this for a minute. I could have done this instead of blow drying it. I'm going to now find some reds that I like. This is red fuchsite. It's good for the shadow color. I don't think I've got anything else up here that Piemontite. I've got some. Put that up. We'll pull out cool red and warm red. I love my system. This is warm red, and I do see some in the corally colors. I hate them, Graham. It sticks. Makes a mess. And here are my cool reds. Now I wonder where your little container is. It's not in there. All right. Let me move this out of the way until I get my color thing figured out. I see a coral, and I'm going to look at my chart. That is Winsor Newton Cad Red Deep here. White red. And of course these will be thinned way down to make my colors. I'm going to pull this Cad Red Deep. Cad Red Deep. Put this where y'all can take a screenshot if you want. Cad Red Deep, and then an orangey, Scarlet Lake, maybe? Let me put another. Of course, this is just junk paper. It's actually butcher's paper that I got at Sam's long time. Oh yeah, that's a good color. So Scarlet Lake. And it's zooming in and out, so I'm sorry. From the bottom of my heart. I gotta see what colors I'm gonna use. Real light, which would be one of those. And I can add some yellow if I need to. I'm going to do Pearl Scarlet. This is a Daniel Smith. A little bit warmer than the first one. Now let me see what kind of darker, cool colors I have. That rose at the bottom is pinky. That is a professional word, pinky. I definitely see some alizarin crimson. Quinn Rose is good too. Flower colors require paints that I don't normally keep out of my palette. Well, that's just almost as good as opera. And it's water, you know, I never have really used Potter's Pink very much. I don't understand it. But we're going to use some today. That's about all the color it has. That's pink. Let's see if I've got an alizarin crimson still in here. Cheap Joe's alizarin, that's good enough. This has the most blue of any of these. Alrighty. Now I can put my tins away. I'm liking how this works. I keep saying that. There aren't too many people that have this many colors of tubes of paint you got to deal with. Okay, now I'm going to revert back to the thing that I've been practicing. Which is I'm going to put the very lightest of tones where my white isn't. I'm going to exclude white. So I'm going to use a real light tint of this one. Oh, okay. Y'all want to take a picture? Anything, anybody? Yeah, that's funny, Wendy. I do like them, though. They're beautiful, especially when you've got big enough areas that you can let them, you paint them by themselves and just let them, you know, soften within their little spot. Okay, there we are. We've got red fuchsia genuine. We've got Winsor Newton Cad Red Deep. It's an orangey color. It has yellow in it. We have Scarlet Lake. We have Daniel Smith Pyrrole Scarlet. And then in the cools, we have M. Graham Quinn Rose, Daniel Smith Potter Pink, and American Journeys Alizarin Crimson, which is made by Da Vinci. They don't admit it, but everybody in the industry knows it. So there you go. Okay, so I said I was going to use this one. That's good enough. Now, I want y'all to also know that the picking of the color was fairly arbitrary. So use what you have. And you can modify, if you only have 2 or 3 pink or reds, you can modify them with a blue or, a yellow, make them yellower, which in any other circumstance would work fine. Hey, Bag. See ya. Okay, let's move on. I think I've got my... Oh, good. Good paints are so intense. Now remember, this is everything but my white, so I want this color to be real pale. All right, I need my picture a little bit bigger. I'm through in that corner, so I'm going to bring this down. The artist needs all the help she can get. Okay, so my rose. One, two. I've kind of got an issue here. 1, 2. My flowers should have been way out of here. Ooh, crapola. Well, it won't do me any good to try to put that flower on top of this brown. So I'm just going to come under here. Make do with what you got. And that color comes up a little bit. And then I've got some, I'm making up this flower as I go along. We'll make it work. And one of my colors is very strong. So it has taken that pink and melded itself with the pink. All right, now moving over to the rest of that flower. It could be another flower. It's sitting right up here. Everything but the white. It's painted the same color. And then we've got a little bit of it coming here. And this is also easier with florals than it is with faces. All right, now my bigger tulip that I liked so well is coming up right here. I could change to my pinker color, but I'm going to leave this. Because if this turns out good, I can do another painting, pay a little more attention to where my boundaries are. Just painting shapes. I'm not painting a flower. Does that make sense? So we got that. Whatever we're going to do over there, I don't know yet. And so from here we have, this is the big flower top left. Everything that's not white. This is just a new technique I'm practicing. See if I like it well enough to keep it in my toolbox. So I got the top part of the flower bouquet just about. Make up another flower right there. Let's see what we got here in a minute. And then this flower I have crammed. But you know what? That one is darker. It's a darker flower because it's in the shadow. So it can be saved over here. We're making it up as we go along. Okay, now we've got one more flower, that hot pink one down at the bottom. And okay, now there's really not any white over here, so I can safely I think the whole thing, the only white really is on the top, maybe just a little bit. That's the little white one. And I can mess with that one a little bit. Pull it down so it can give the ball of that one white here a chance to show. If that's the case, then you need to round that. Negative painting. And it's really okay to paint in the limb because the green will be darker. And it looks like we've got some flower under here, like a little petal. And there's a white flower under there that I'm just now seeing. Okay. I am leaving it now. And check chat. Yeah, as long as the kids are happy doing something and don't realize that Nana's not paying attention, you're good. Okie dokie. The darkest coral still looks like a mix between these two colors. How strong, how strong. Okay. Yeah, hottest pink. I never go direct from the water to the brush, to the paper either. I'm gonna make that really pretty dark so it'll cover up my boo-boo. Oh, what are you doing now? You're supposed to be doing everything but the next lightest tone. If I'm going to follow that little ditty. So soften that real good. Now I'll leave it. See, old habits die hard. That's the way I'm used to. Okay. Now, everything but the two lightest tones. So that leaves us now with the next darkest tone. And I'm going to use here. It'll mix, and that's just fine. Okay, so this would be my third value. And it's everything but the white and this. So get down here where I belong. This is this middle tone. Everything but those two. Making it up as I go along, boss. You don't have to stick with the same color as long as they're the same value. I missed a big old one in there. Mm. I'm going to come back and soften these that are harder. Remember, I can always go back in. You really need to do this soft edge thing about the minute that you make the mark. I forgot. I forget. Move my, whoops. Where'd you come from? Where's your crimson? And this is the star of our show, so um, I can correct any drawing errors if I see them. Yeah, big old. That pretty well gets the third value on that one. Now we've got more third value, a lot of it, down here. All of that can be. Okay. I'm working on Fabriano Artistico. It's one of the first papers I ever used. One of my very first. She wasn't really a tutor. She was just had a group. Anyway, she believed that beginners should work on really good papers. Okay, now try to pay attention to your lights. All right. I guess I better soften a little. And y'all remember what I say about values. It can be any value, any color, as long as it's the right value, which is the darkness and lightness of that color. So I'm going to do this one next. Get some more of this one, I think. I'm going to negative paint because I don't want to ruin the lights around my tulip. And that runs into the whoa. Making it up as I go along. All right, time for chat. Bye, Wendy. Isn't that pretty, Joy? It's a number 10 Rosemary Kolinsky, Jean Haynes selection. Their brushes are excellent. Oh, thank you, Bag. It's just recently that I've let myself start using them. Well, that light just won't stay on. What's wrong with you, baby? Oh, maybe. Okay, never mind. Doesn't work for now. Alrighty, now we're going to go into our darker darks. And then we'll get to play with some of these others that keep flipping over. Let's start with this a little bit darker. Put the tube on the wrong way and you get tape on the back side of it. This is our Red Fuchsite Genuine. And please, please don't try to match colors exactly because I just arbitrarily picked them. All right, so darkest darks. I'm going to put this in about like so. And then I'll put this in. I like that. Uh-oh, let me go shut the door. My kids are home. Well, that's Bubby and the Poppy and the 3 youngins. Poppy and the 2 youngins. We missed every one of our little puppies who've crossed over. All right, now we need the Alizarin Crimson, which I think is there. Feel like I've got tutors standing over my head whispering to me. It's the strongest when I work on a pastel portrait. I can hear Mr. Les DeMille going, "No, not there. No. Do it this way." And then he'd always say, he finally got to where he was just mentoring me. It wasn't a pay situation. He'd say, "You know why I'm hard on you?" Wait, no, why? It's getting old. I was kidding. Let's go to this hotter pink now. He would say, because you can follow in my footsteps and be a professional portrait artist. I went, nah, don't know if I want to work that hard, Les. I have much more fun playing with you guys. Charles Reed's probably not talking to me yet because he just passed. But I remember being in critique with him and a bunch of professional artists, which I was not. I said, Charles, you can critique me. I'm in the design business and I'm used to my clients telling me what to do. I can take it. No, you can't. Just keep painting. Hot pink. My dad's birthday is today and he turned 93. Still has more energy than I do. Always has had. And that's probably way too far gone. Okay. Now we need the peachy. And then we will assess where I am. This method of painting lights to darks and values is pretty interesting. Adding a few different colors here and there. A little alizarin right there. Talking to myself. And that's orangey. I'm gonna get over here. Some of that dirty orangey. Now, there's a color right there. I'll put a little bit of yellow in there. Some more water. I can get this edge right down here. That yellow flower. Or yellow and white flower. I'm going to bring that on down. Take up that space. And then I'm going to come back over here. Just paint some petal shapes. They don't show now, but they will when I get some darker color behind it. That's a good example of using what's on your palette. Because it contains all these colors, but yet it's a little bit different. And I didn't have a paint color just exactly. And if you did have the paint color just exactly, you wouldn't be able to find it. Changed my white paper on my desk worktop today in honor of the new week. Got some clean water. Okay, dokie. What do we got? Oh, those are all greens in there. And we've got some greens out on. Painting for you guys has really upped my game. So we're going to get that in there as a placeholder. And then this is all green, so let's see. Pretty much just a clump of green. Going from under here, just straight down. Trying to make sure I leave room for the white. The white around that flower, I mean. that one a little bit. Yeah, I painted over my. No, that one's dark. Well, you didn't paint it dark. Y'all are gluttons for punishment if you're staying around for all of this. I'm glad you do. I thought I painted this. Maybe it's already dried and see, I'm just painting shapes and how they interact with each other. All right. Chat break. Oh, bag I use Daniel Smith, American Journey, Winsor Newton, M. Graham, but they're all artist quality. I pretty well insist on that. Even for my beginners, I insist on that because you can practice and play with student grade paint just fine in a journal or something like that. But the experience of painting in watercolor on watercolor paper is totally different when you start painting. Need a drink of water. And now, let's see, wait a minute. Yeah, mostly. M. Graham, look at the back. Looks like somebody died back there. I have a few Holbeins. This is a Winsor Newton. So the top 4 or 5 brands, I have Da Vinci, I have Schmincke. The top 4 or 5 brands are Daniel Smith, M. Graham, Da Vinci, Schmincke, what am I leaving out? Winsor Newton. I'm leaving something out. There's a lot of European brands that are great. Blocks and Mayberry. Rembrandt is awesome. And they kind of all fall in the same category, except that some of the major brands mix colors in the tube. So you don't know exactly what you're getting, and that's fine if you're just going to use that color by itself. But the minute you try to mix it with something, you're more likely to get mud. Not saying those are bad, I have a lot of them. But you just got to know which ones are going to act up. Now, how now, brown cow? We are going to go back to our dark color, which I still have. And I'm going to see, and I need to move the picture out of the way. I'm going to negative paint around these petals, leaving plenty of room for the white, and making sure that it's got soft edges. Let's see, I'm making some flowers up here. That's stupid, that didn't work. That does. And at the same time, I need to make sure that this line is soft. This is going to be right next to the white that's soft. If I want to add more dark, I can come in to the wet spot and paint a little bit more away from that edge. And that will force this to be softer. My 100% Bird's Eye all natural diaper is soaked at one end. Okay, this is make work done. I'm going to see if I can scrub out some of those areas that put a big old brush full of water on that. And then I just painted over the one that I was going to try to lift. That's the way it works. Switch back to my synthetic to see if any of that I can lift. Now see, when this dries, I might be able to bring it back because that's going to be just a tint, a very bare tint of color, and I can affect that maybe with a little bit of yellow or peach. Appreciate y'all being here always, and spending some of your time with me. I did so good. Let's see if we can do it again. I'm going to stay on watercolor a little bit more. Because it's really keeping me focused. And I'm going to bring in a great big one right here. Some colors lift better than others. And some are more staining than others. And I'm not a chemist, or a color man as they call them. But some of the Daniel Smith's Primatex will lift better because they are not, their granulations the size of their pigments is more prone to sit on top. It's the finer pigment paints that, and their original pigments are staining that you never get out. Phthalo blue is one of them. In fact, I think a lot of the non-organics, the ones developed for the auto industry, like your quinocodones, I'm going to leave that alone here in just a minute. Okay, what are we doing up here? Okay, so we've got put some dark green with some of that hematite. I don't need that much water. Okay, so we pick up again over here above that tulip. You see, I've got my synthetic and they just don't hold as much water. So we've got that one coming down. We've got this one coming back up. I'm not paying attention to the fact that I painted over it a while ago. I can always repaint over it if I can't pull it back. Where am I? Where am I? There I am. Feel like it's getting late. My internal cocktail clock goes off. Y'all spread the word if you know anybody that's interested in watercolor, because that seems to be what I'm doing these days. This will work better on this side because the leaves or the petals over here are so much darker. And if I really wanted it to be perfect, I could put watercolor ground over these areas and then let it cure for 24 hours. And this same, whatever it is, table. Okay, that's all of it. That's all of the, that's taller than all of this. Put it on, take it off. Good paper can take a real licking. Okay, let's see what time it is. 10 till 6. No wonder I'm tired. Hey, Linda. Shamika's the one I always get a couple of letters backwards on. Okay. How many of you are sticking with me? I've got 8 watching now. Okay, I will keep going for a little bit. Now I've got to figure out how to make something out of all this white space. I'm Doing a paint challenge for myself today, I guess, Linda. No photo. I mean, no drawing. More negative painting. Remembering that the tulip is the star of our show. Need some more of our peachy color. I'm going to go on just a little bit longer until I see if I'm trying to burn it. I'm going to have to work on those a little bit. This may be one for the bin, like they say in England. I didn't use Potter's Pink after all, did I? I have a real funny feeling this one could use a couple hours of finish. I can also come back and just paint these all brown if I don't feel like messing with it. You know, we got a It's really supposed to be all white. And if it's light, then we need dark right beside it. I think I'm about done for the day, guys. I will assess this when I'm fresher. And see if it's worth anything. A lot of work to do down in here. All right. Some days you win and some days you don't. And that, my friends, is the story of art. And you don't worry about it. You just figure out if it can be somewhat fixed to suit you. And if it can't, tear it up and make ATCs out of it. But I'm not going to give up on this. I may work on it. I don't know. Y'all want me work on it with you tomorrow? Or do you want me to just work on it by myself and report back? Oh, thanks, Jules. So what do y'all think? You want me to keep working on it with you tomorrow or by myself? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Whoops. I'm going to go ahead and set this up. I'm using almost straight pigment here, with just the dampness in the brush. Because if you get the gouache too light, it's transparent, so it doesn't do any good. And even then, sometimes it takes a couple coats. And some of those don't have to be all one general size. Up to you. Okay, Joycey. Yeah, I think I'll come in tomorrow afternoon. It's just a pop up. So watch for what happens. And I'm gonna go around some of these right now and prep it for tomorrow so they'll be good and dry. That's what I think I'll do. All right, guys, I'm gonna kick off here. I love you. I'm so glad you stick with me. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.